Iconic Productions. You may be wondering who I am. Well, if you follow us on Instagram, you would know that this is not my first foray into the chair of power. Oh no, my friends. I have decided to take over completely today. Oh yeah. My name is JD, your friendly neighborhood producer and game lover and drama queen. And I would like to welcome you to the 10th episode. We are so excited to get you some answers to your burning questions. We are letting our hair down, figuratively.
Okay. I mean, sure.
And as a fellow viewer of this hilarious group of ladies, I have a few questions that I've prepared. But of course, we want to hear from you. So feel free to include your questions in the chat, and I will be happy to ask for you. Alrighty. So let's begin with a nice, easy one, shall we, ladies?
Sure. Where's like Calypso?
What is your experience with RPGs in general? What games have you played before Fading Suns?
A lot.
I guess for Maddie and myself, several years ago, I decided I wanted to play D&D. And so essentially coerced, not quite lying, but coerced my friends into playing this game on the premise that it will help my writing and artistic and creative flair. I just wanted to play games. And I roped a whole bunch of them into it. And we started with a player's handbook.
30-year-old dice.
It was great. And since then, we played D&D.
Yep.
That was not distracting. Fading Suns, Dark Eye, 13th Age, Honey Heist. I've played Pathfinder, Jackals. Oh, I'm missing something.
Done some Zweihander one-offs.
Zweihander.
There's another one. I don't remember. A lot.
At least 8 different types of role-playing games. I'm missing one. I can feel it. Call of Cthulhu!
There it is. Oh! Well, you didn't play. Star Trek.
Oh, yes. What about you, Abby?
I am actually relatively new to the world of tabletop roleplay games. Our GM, who's not here tonight, JM, got me into them about 2 years ago. And my first game to play was Call of Cthulhu, which was a hilarious intro to tabletop roleplay games.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody going insane. It's great. Since then, I have played Pathfinder, 13th Age, Adventurer, Conqueror, King, other Glorantha things, Rune Quest, Jackals,
That's what it is. That's what I was forgetting.
7th Sea, Fading Suns, and it's very possible I'm missing one in there. Most of them are JM led, and I just kind of follow along, and it becomes really funny.
What about you, Lee?
Most of my tabletop has been Dur. Can I say that? D&D. I don't know. I'm always afraid of saying things, so I just look at our producer. I'm like, am I allowed to say this? Usually the answer's no. I not only play, but I also GM. So I'm pretty disturbingly heavily embedded into tabletop. I've been playing. I'm not going to tell you how old I am because the lady never reveals her age, but I think I've been playing close to
Years.
10, 12 years.
You look great for 13.
Oh, thank you. Most of mine have been Pathfinder, D&D. I have my favorite have been the Star Wars Pathfinders. So now, JM's a GM. I love saying that. Has definitely gotten me into some that I've never even heard of, such as 13th Age and like Glorantha. And then this one got me into Call of Cthulhu, and I'm dying to play it again. So it's all your fault that I want to go insane.
Everybody does. It's fine.
So yeah, a lot of experience, but also at the same time, I do want to say that just because I've been playing this for so long doesn't mean I know any of the roles, because to be honest, there's so much of it that I don't know. So lots of the time, like as a GM, if I don't know the answer, sometimes I'll just straight up say, all right, players, what? So I do kind of want to offset say just because I've been playing for a long time doesn't make me an expert by any means, and also doesn't mean that you as a person who has not been playing for maybe 10 to 12 years can't just jump in and know nothing, because you absolutely can.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Oh.
I think they kind of went
Becca kinda
together.
answered for me.
We kind of play a lot of games together.
Mhm.
I mean, I didn't. You weren't kicking and screaming when I dragged you into this, so.
No, because she told me I could play a ranger, and then she let me have an animal companion, and that was pretty much it.
I think the first time I actually ever played, it was a Star Wars Pathfinder, and I too was also bribed with, we'll let you have an animal companion, and I was like, can it be a velociraptor? And at the time, my GM Max, like, furiously went through the pages and was like, you can have a Drexel. It basically is one. And it'll look like this, and it'll be great. And then there I was.
I will say, I was the animal companion in your Fallout
Yeah.
RPG.
Yeah.
I played the dog. I was a very convincing dog, and I got people to do what I needed to by barking at them at the table.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's a bunch of strangers. Nobody knew me. It was fine.
That's amazing.
But you made this people who didn't know us have so much fun. So she played the character Dogmeat from the Fallout games. We at the time at Starfest, which is a con, we were test playing it because it's not been released yet, and I had specific characters available to play, and she was like, well, yes, I'm going to play the dog that cannot speak or make decisions for anybody, and yet somehow spoke and made decisions for everybody. And my favorite part was that one of the people we had was just a con goer. His character decided that he was the only one that could hear Dogmeat, but also was like, am I going crazy? Did you guys hear that? Did you hear that? And they were all like, you're crazy, dude. Like, and it was a good time.
Awesome. I enjoy gaming with these ladies. Is what it comes down to.
So my next question is, have you ever played with an all-female party like you do now?
That's actually the only thing I knew until about a year ago. Because the game that Becca started was all women for the first half, I think. Like, we had a couple guys who maybe would show up once or twice, but it was predominantly an all-female party.
Mm-hmm.
So it was weird to then start playing in game. I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever played with more than one other girl. Usually it's a bunch of dudes, and then there's depending if it's a huge group, then there may be 2 or 3 girls. The campaign that I GM for, I only have one other girl in it, and then the rest of them, there's 7 guys. So this is vastly different for me, and my favorite part about this so far has been that we talk things out, whereas some of my guy campaigns are like, ah, and I'm like, no!
Yeah, who we're talking about.
Actually share resources.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's been 2 games that I can think of off the top of my head where I have been the only female, and that's so different than most games. Because most games that JM sets up, or even that we set up, are pretty female heavy, which is fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I definitely have not ever played with a full female crew. It's been really fun. I didn't know how it would go, just because, get a bunch of girls together. Weird
I
stuff
just
can
kept
happen.
talking. I'm sorry. I interrupt everyone. I'm a jackass. I'm sorry.
So this has been actually really fun. I've definitely played with like all guy games, a good mix of both guys and girls. Yeah, it's really fun.
Awesome. Well, what is your preferred focus as a gamer? Is it rules or story? And does that change? Because I know a couple of you have, or most of you have GM'd, or half of you.
I have. She has. She's done it once.
And it was great, and I had a lot of fun.
I'm at 0 for 0.
So disappointed that I didn't get to come over here. That's fine.
Come on, man. Join us.
Someday. I'm trying to get my parents into playing, and if I get them to play, I might step into GMing.
Yeah.
It might disaster,
Yeah, I
but
would
it'd be
only play
hilarious.
Druid. And my mother a bard, and I could not see that going well.
So I think because we were all learning at the same time. Like, Becca was like, let's do this. And she I think you had a DM?
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Oh, no, start with just the player's handbook.
So,
About like 3 months later, I bought the
so
Dungeon Master's Guide. It was
we
great.
were very unaware of the rules when we started. So it was very story driven. And I think ever since, like, yeah, rules are important, especially when they work in your favor, but I think we've always kind of stuck with story first. So if it means, hey, so like a great example is the ranger that I was originally playing had an animal companion, but the animal companion could do squat, and so it was really just a liability. And so we went through and we tweaked a few things to not make it a liability, to make it a little more fun and a little more playable. So ardent rules followers would probably be pulling out their hair with some of the stuff that we've done. I probably would have killed off my animal companion a long time ago, but we figured out a way to not do that and add it to the story, add flavor to the story.
Mm-hmm. I mean, story is what got me into RPGs. Always enjoyed telling them, always enjoyed reading them, and found RPGs and went, oh, I can like live them with my friends? Like, that's cool. So yeah, I'm all about the story, and the rules are useful, but for myself, if I get too hung up on the rules, I feel like it stops the story.
Sky domes.
Ah, there it is. That's the other one. No, there was another one.
Rules are made to be broken.
Are you
I'm answering that
space
in
pirate?
character or out of character?
What would you like to know?
She is the character.
Alrighty. Well, I am just checking in on our chat room, and thanks everybody for being here tonight. We're so glad you are. I do have a list of questions that is just, my own personal burning desire to know. But if you have questions, please feel free to include them in the chat. Or, of course, I am also monitoring Twitter because I just roll like that. So, my next question until we have...
I was gonna say, I saw one
Really?
on the chat. It was, who would be captain if we were stuck on a desert island? It wasn't desert, because you spelled it wrong. It was desert island. And personally, I don't care because, hey, it's dessert. So I know you know who I am. I know you know where to find me. Don't worry. I'm aware. I'm a spelling snob.
So what's the answer to the question?
Oh, who would be captain? Well, see, now the real question is it out of us people or is it out of us characters?
I think we can answer both.
Okay,
let's just have
so
fun with that.
characters-wise,
I mean, the captain would be the captain.
yes.
But what if the captain was missing and you were stuck on a desert island?
I love Chris.
We love our chat.
Okay, on a
So
desert
Calypso's
island.
gone.
Calypso's gone.
Yeah, who's captain then?
Wait, where did Calypso go?
Okay, look, it's a desert. It's a desert island. All right, I am totally on the Sundays. I've abandoned all of you. You're on your own.
Just rafting down
So,
I'm just
the river.
It kind of seems to me that everybody's just on their own. We're each our own captains.
I feel like Gemma and Jaxa
I will
would
fight
buddy
anybody
up.
for chocolate, and I will probably win in real life.
I was like,
IRL.
I don't know. Characters-wise, Calypso, I think if we scattered too much, we just kind of break
Get
into
diabetes.
pieces. And get diabetes. And then, people-wise, I like that you point to me.
That's my vote.
Hey, first mate, what's up?
Ah.
All right.
Okay,
that-
that's in real life.
Oh, in real life.
Oh,
okay.
So then, out of the four of us,
Becca.
Probably Becca. I
You
will
can
still
tell
fight
by the
anybody
death
for
glare.
chocolate. I will fight for that chocolate.
oh, you can have the chocolate. It's fine.
Okay, great.
Well, getting back to our way serious questions. When creating a character for any game that you play, do you think it's more important to have a full backstory or merely an interesting personality?
Don't ask me this question.
I wrote this question for you.
Well, spoiler alert, Calypso's not fully fleshed out, so I definitely... For me, I like to pull a backstory as I kind of play the game a little bit, just so I can kind of see what kind of world we're in or universe for Fading Suns. And that way I can kind of take some inspiration from it. There have been some games where I've like dumped pages of backstory on GMs, and they've been very appreciative, but also at the same time I felt like I'm not a jab at my best friend, but I'm going to jab at my best friend. I wasted a lot of effort on 6 pages of backstory, only to it never made any sense for the story. And it's because I made it before the story. So if I make it kind of as the story's going, I think it has a bit of more of a chance for the GM to have a bit more ease into playing with it and making it part of it. So Calypso has pieces that she's coming together with, but she's still not 6 pages of backstory yet. She's just a personality. I'm sorry.
You're okay.
That's how I personally do it.
Yeah.
It's like interesting personality quirk, very vague outline, and that way it allows me to figure out how I need to fit in with the other players in the GM story. And then it's like a special surprise when it's suddenly revealed that that's why she's like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you. How about everybody else?
I think for myself, I have gone into it, at least with the fully formed backstory in my own head. But I have found, depending on the GM, and with Jam in particular, I like to give him a few maybe people or nuggets, and then he'll bring them up. I mean, in this game in particular, I said, at one point we were talking about it, and I said, I think my dad is the leader of the Engineers Guild, and I have no idea where my mom is. And that's all that I really gave for backstory for Jackson. And it was like, well, there is stuff there, and as we go along, it's like, oh, well, I guess it was like this, or I guess it was like this. Because he does a really good job of bringing it out of us and asking us the questions of, well, does your character know someone from here, or do you know this type of thing?
Awesome. Well, ladies, what makes a good gaming experience for you? Is it the people you play with, the engrossment that you have in the story, having a really boss character, whether that means that just a really great story or a really great build out, or is it more about the rules, the world that your characters live in? What does it for you?
for me, honestly, it's who I'm playing with, because if people take themselves too seriously, I'm not gonna have a good time, because you all know me and I'm not serious. I was waiting for another what?
I said it.
I know. It's all I was like,
Appreciate
here it is.
comments about her.
And I also, also it does come down to the story as well. I can have the dumbest character, and I'm like, wow, this is useless. But if the story is fun and engaging, I'm going to make that character somehow work, because generally the GM's going to make sure that character still works. So I definitely like fun people and a great story.
Yeah, I'd definitely say it depends on who's at the table. If it is a group that is more willing to flex, then it's more fun. If it's a group that's very rules oriented or very rigid in how they're approaching the story, then I get bored, because you can't think outside of the box. I'm intentionally doing it. And like my favorite things to do, sorry JM, are throw in wrenches, because you can think outside the box, because you haven't been so clearly railroaded that there's no way around that. So I've loved like puzzling through things. Like Beatrice has been so fascinating to kind of get into. Frustrating that every world we land on is ready to blow up, but kind of fun to chase that mystery around. And I think that's what's really engaging for me as a player. And then to have folks at the table who are willing to support whatever weird idea you have also allows you to become more comfortable as a player and kind of figure out your character and their story and where they're coming from.
Yeah, definitely people and story. Yeah, there's been several times where I've almost considered like, well, I'm so busy. We're not going to talk about how many nights a week I game. I'm so busy that maybe I'll stop this night or whatever. And then that story, though, if I miss out on that story, I'm going to be so mad at myself. So I can't miss the story. Even though maybe I should, sleep more often or something like that.
Well, and I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that, people use and manipulate your character while you're not here.
There's that too. I watched those episodes. Crosshairs, woman. There were crosshairs on me.
Did Clips
I had it all under
manipulate
control.
Becca? Or Jackson?
No. It was my person was gonna kill her because he was blackmailing me to get something he wanted. It was a whole. Was I even here for that?
Yes, you were
Yep.
right there. I watched on my little screen.
You and I were sitting here going, oh no.
Well, to answer
Okay.
I got two answers here. First, to answer the question that just popped up, I don't know.
What was the question?
Yeah,
Oh.
I don't know. Just do.
How do you put up with these silly people, Chris? You might want to change, who you are if you want to hide. Just say.
He's not afraid.
Second answer, gaming. I have no idea, honestly. I feel like I'm still experiencing and figuring things out and finding what is fun in a game and what's not. Currently, all the games I've played are fun. So I don't know what makes a game not fun, if that makes sense.
I do.
Oh, man.
So I know I'm young into tabletop roleplay gaming because I don't have a great answer to this. Everything is still really fun. I think the hardest thing for me is trying to come up with things on the spot. How the hell do I escape this assassin master who's blackmailing me to do his thing?
It wasn't mine.
And nobody is saying that you have to have had a bad experience before you're a seasoned role player. You've been, that's kudos.
Nobody wants anybody to have a bad experience playing.
Right. I don't have a differentiation. I think that's what I wanted to say.
Well, shout out to our Twitter peeps, because I wanted to make sure to let everyone know that we have a question from Evan on Twitter. Thank you, Evan. And he asks, what about the crew of the Oh Boi does the crew think made them the chosen of Beatrice? And are they just trouble magnets, or is there something more happening based on their origins?
I don't think Jexa thinks they're chosen. I think she's just more along for the ride and really likes this crew and doesn't want to leave them. Like, she's intrigued by Beatrice. I don't think she thinks she's chosen
Fair.
by Beatrice.
I think Gemma, on some level, believes they were chosen, but also Maddie thinks it was more they were the ones who were just dumb enough to do something about it. So Gemma, with her background, leaning maybe more towards chosen. Maddie just thinks stupidity.
Calypso doesn't believe in any form of deity, so I don't even entirely, I think she doesn't really have any kind of thoughts towards chosen either. I think really it's more so she's chosen Beatrice because she's actually curious. So I think she sees it the other way around. And Lee's just kind of hanging out, so.
I think Alestra also doesn't necessarily believe they're chosen. Alestra has a complicated background, which will probably get revealed in future episodes. But because of it, she just doesn't believe in much, but at the same time, she's kind of conflicted because of how rigorously she's embedding herself into her healing persona. And, so yeah, she's kind of conflicted, also just kind of interested, like, this is obviously a very strange phenomena happening with Beatrice, and definitely some person is leading us on, and she, yeah, very curious, very strange, she wants to see it through. Abby's like, I don't know. Beatrice is, I don't know.
That's fair.
Eat more Sour Patch Kids.
Not a sponsor.
Sorry, no, they're not.
Thank you, producer JD, for reminding us of what's really important.
Well, the story of the crew began off camera. And so I am curious. You guys have hinted a lot at some of the events that have happened before, as some of the adventures that have happened in the dark times before the live stream. Tell us your favorite story from before we started the stream.
It's kind of hard to remember where we started the stream.
We started going
Really?
through the gate. So Milan Station and Ravenna
We're off.
were off screen. So actually,
Okay.
like, they never saw the death of Kotok.
No, we saw the death of Kotak.
Mm-mm.
That was
That
would've been
was
the first
that
episode.
was some of the pre-streaming
those were like pre-stream live,
tests.
Okay.
but they
I'm
weren't
caught up.
actually live ones.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, then, in all honesty, my favorite was probably the death of Kotak. Because it was so freaking epic how Gregor killed me. Yeah. I got crispified. It was amazing.
Favorite story.
I
I'm
think-
going.
Oh, go.
Oh no.
No. Yep.
Lee, go.
Captain.
My favorite story is definitely probably the time that everyone unanimously all decided Jexa is a precious girl and we must keep her that way. And while we're at Count Orlaton's party and
Oh, that was.
Calypso is getting high off her butt because she decided that blowing bubblegum infused a drug with bubblegum to make Anyway, it backfired. I mean, it worked. The job was done. But she also thought she was a goat. Anyway, that was
I
totally
feel
my
like
favorite.
there needs to be more to that.
So, Orliton. Super creepy character on Milan Station.
Kind of like a human chubby Jabba the Hutt character that has like a floating
Yeah.
wheelchair.
He made me
much.
dance with him.
Oh God.
So he was known for throwing these lavish parties. So every night there was a different theme. So the night we stumbled into was the night where they were all high as a kite on Joy Evening and dressed as animals. So Calypso and Gemma figured that was not something Jackson needed to see. No one really needs to see anyone in latex animal suits to begin with, let alone a 16-year-old girl. So we had to get Orliton out of there. Things with drugs ensued. Jexa didn't listen to us and pet one of the animals.
It was oinking at me. And so I could not see it, but I reached out to touch it. And it was sweaty. I kind of pulled my hand back real fast.
That's why Calypso thought she was a goat,
Yep.
because people were chanting and making them do animal
Bad idea.
things. And Orliton wasn't high, but was taking sick pleasure. It was just bad, real bad.
But
But he's dead.
Calypso did
Right
shove
side.
that drug-infused bubblegum into his mouth and got him high too. And subsequently killed him.
That was an accident.
That was entirely unintentional.
Like, so for myself, I want to say that, like, Milan Station had some great moments. Being stuck in an elevator with this giant woman who just randomly decided to protect me was kind of sweet. But the whole, like, Milan Station also is just some, like, baggage and trauma that Jexa has buried and squashed as deep down as she could.
Is that where you all met?
Yes. And we met Alexa, Nigel, and Gregor,
And Virgil.
and Virgil on Milan Station as
And
well.
Beatrice.
And Beatrice. It's where the party got started, and we don't like to talk about Milan Station.
Consequently, where Calypso nearly killed Gregor. And we've seen how that's turned out.
Not yet.
Stay tuned.
Maybe someday.
Well, that is a great segue to talk about some of our beloved NPCs. For those of you who are tuning in again, you will know that Gregor is just one of our favorite. Well, it's one of my favorites. I don't know if it's one of
He's
your
a giant
favorites.
teddy bear.
He really is great, all multi-purpose, and he's great. But we also, he's one of maybe 2 NPCs you guys have as a 4?
3 to 4.
Ish.
Depending on what you're counting.
5 if you count Beatrice.
Oh gosh. Too complicated.
So if you count,
I mean, are we talking about just on the ship?
7 if
Yeah,
you
wh-
count.
who-
Okay.
What are the NPCs that you have on the ship? The ship isn't sentient, is it?
Not
we know
technically, but apparently it has a masculine voice. So keep that
That
in
is
mind.
for Calypso to know and no one to find out.
Oh, snap.
I really don't want to pilot it anymore, so that's fine.
Touch its rods. Touch it.
I thought Jackson was a pure, innocent being that
I
was gonna
am
keep
not
that
Calypso
one.
talking to Jexa right now.
Oh, it's instantly talking to Becca. Okay.
So there's technically 4. So we picked up Alexa at Milan Station. She was
Hey, Alexa.
the priestess of the Temple of the Silent Lady, which we found out to be Beatrice. She was accompanied by Virgil, a statue that came to life when we immediately freed Beatrice. Nigel, who's Alexa's boyfriend?
Lover of the night.
Share of ruffled shirts. Who
Button just hampers.
was a drug smuggler, black market specialist on Milan
He
Station
was like some kind of black
that we
market
somehow
specialist.
picked up. And
It's
then
because he was in love with Alexa that he came with
Well,
us.
I
Because he
think
was with Alexa when the ship went down.
right,
well-
but we kind of put them together.
his contact initially was Calypso.
Yes.
Because he initially said to Calypso to get the Prophet's Hearts, which were a very expensive flower that are now extinct because Milan Station is dead.
Again, we don't like to talk about that dark chapter of our history.
And so she, I think, brought Nigel to the Temple of the Silent Lady. And
They
then,
hit it off.
yeah, they kind of looked at each other. And then Calypso
Gling,
decided, you should get a ruffled shirt.
So that's. And
So
then,
why are they still on the ship?
Because Alexa's following Virgil, who's following Beatrice. Because Beatrice had been speaking to Alexa for years. And so there's a connection there. But also, Milan's station fell into a dwarf star, and we were some of the only ones to make it off.
When you
Derek's
say
alive.
fell, do you mean accidentally, intentionally crashed?
No.
Okay, so
No, we do mean fell. Like,
to clear our names, we were
accidental.
told to free Beatrice. We just had to slap Orlaton's disgusting hand on this panel and she would be free. Little did we know, the sick butt had set the station to self-implode when that happened. So as soon as we freed Beatrice, the station lost orbit and plummeted into...
there's also the question of releasing Beatrice sent her out into the stars, which took up the last of the power of the station, which
think
made
it
it
rigged
lose orbit. I mean, I blame Orlaton personally.
I don't think Beatrice would send that many people to their death.
Well, there
Unintentionally.
is some, grounding and sacrifice and God's being reborn and
Gemma cannot believe that she sent those people to their deaths.
We apparently
fair.
don't know enough about Beatrice yet.
So
Yeah,
there's
but-
a question in chat about ruffled shirts. So that's a pretty quick
I
answer.
want you to answer this.
You want me to?
I
Yeah.
want you to answer this.
So Calypso is essentially kind of like if Han Solo and David Bowie got together and had a baby. And also a mix of some Jack Sparrow somewhere in there. He's like the weird kooky uncle. I don't know. But so she's got a very specific kind of flamboyant, avant-garde kind of clothing choice, clothing style. And she wears a lot of ruffled shirts. And she thinks they're sexy. And so she gave Nigel a ruffled shirt to be like, go on, seduce her. It'll be fine. I don't know where this is coming from, but here we are. And it worked.
hashtag accent war.
It's so bad. And so the ruffled shirts kind of became a inside joke that formed off screen. Pretty much to allude to you wear a ruffled shirt, now you're sexy and you're going to get that bae. Pretty much.
I mean, in my mind, it's the equivalent of hanging a sock on the door.
Yeah.
You ruffle shirt them.
No, I'm not gonna.
You asked. And they answered. So-
We're here for you.
Sometimes.
So, how did the ship get the name Oh Boi?
Hey guys.
I want to know.
So, a common thing that I as a person I say a lot.
Says a lot.
I says a lot. And I says, anyway, I'm sorry. It's just who I am as a person and it doesn't stop. Is I go, oh boy. And I think what actually happened is JM turned to me and went, and what's your ship's name? And like I had all these names going through my head, like the High Wind, Excalibur, all these, now I'm quoting things from Kingdom Hearts, but anyway, all of these really awesome names, and I just kind of went, oh boy, and he was like, that's it? And I was like, oh boy! And I think it's actually become really cute, because now, before like we go to break, or like if something bad is happening, like I've noticed that they all will be like, oh boy, and like they look directly at the camera, and I know what they're doing, and I'm like, both of you have done it very frequently.
Oh, yeah.
You're a little bit harder to catch, but it's happened.
Hard to catch.
I'm not flexing enough for her yet. So.
All the comments. Not kidding.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or either that or you're not wearing the right ruffled shirts.
I'm not wearing. You were correct. There are no ruffles on this shirt to be had.
Or zippers.
Or zippers. There are just headlights.
Yeah, it seems that they can turn any article of clothing into a euphemism. Or euphemism
Some people-
adjacent.
Can like Play a sport. We can make anything a euphemism.
It's a talent, really.
It's a gift.
Sometimes a curse.
Well, it's still early days for the crew of the Oh Boi. You guys have, how long have you guys been playing together as the crew of the Oh Boi?
Since
March? Let's look at the notes.
Hey.
I think it's March.
March for me.
I
So
definitely have
February.
one date is March, but I think we started like one random date in February.
Well, the two of you started
That's what it
way
was.
before we did.
Okay, so then in March.
Yeah, I
But
didn't
we-
even know y'all in January.
We were just getting it started knowing
I
that
know, I'm a baby friend.
we were going to get more people.
So is there a difference for you between gelling as players and your characters learning to get along?
Yeah. For me, at least, because I can have a lot of fun with these girls, but then, like, if I want my character to be really obtuse, it's a different thing.
That's fair.
So, I'm going to be a total jerk and say, so the question is, so I understand it correctly, how is it,
Card.
how is it being a character versus getting along with the people at the table? As that character interacting with the people. Characters.
Is there a difference in your mind? I can make the argument that there is a difference, that you can like the people that you play with, that you can get along great.
Mm-hmm.
You can even understand the story that they are creating and be into the story that they're creating, and their character absolutely hates you. Or your character absolutely hates what they're doing.
So,
Okay, I may have once or twice played an angsty character or two.
Who
um,
yelled at my character? Like a lot.
so
So Lee.
I actually think
I love you.
it took me a second because I had to process the question. I apologize for that, but
No, it's-
I actually think it comes down to Calypso and Alestra, because Calypso does not actually she's not as warm to Alestra, which is really ironic given that I think it's the same Alestra that she met initially on Milan Station and she was much more open with.
Mhm.
Is she still the same Alestra?
Mhm.
Okay. There was a whole Kotok death thing.
We've had some confusion.
Confusion. But she's not actually warm with her. I think that she doesn't trust her very much, and that's kind of come off in a few bits of the role play where she's like,
That's valid.
well, what are you, she's definitely kind of called Alestra out when she starts to fluster a bit, which is very, very different from me over here throwing my hand in front of Abby and I'm like, give me peanut M&Ms. So
That's actually
It does
accurate.
happen.
I'm like a little goblin suddenly.
Not a
I'm like,
sponsor.
God.
We're just keeping you on your toes, Jimmy.
For all of you watching this, you are getting the uncensored real version of the crew of the
And I think that's it's challenging because I don't want to be mean because I like Abby, but Calypso for some reason, and I don't even think she entirely realizes it yet, but she got a vibe, and she's really good with people and vibes, and Alestra's vibe isn't there with her yet, where it was instantly with Jexa, or how Gemma and Calypso kind of bonded over mothering Jexa, and so now they've become moms essentially to this teenage girl. And they don't always agree with each other either. They definitely get into little spats as well.
Like robbing a cathedral.
Like robbing a cathedral.
Horrible idea.
So I would say sometimes it's challenging, but I think it makes for great storytelling, and I also think it helps us bond as players at a table.
I think if you are friendly or friends with the people at the table, it's easier to be antagonistic towards each other and admit that Calypso doesn't like Alestra all the time, and Alestra doesn't always find Juxa the sweetest thing in the world. She might find her annoying. I don't know. I'm just guessing here. But since I know Abby doesn't hate me, what Alestra does, I know isn't Abby. Right?
Or is it?
Dun, dun,
Right.
dun.
Right.
I'm checking your character next for Wednesday. Be prepared.
I promise, Aventuria, we're going to get to your question. I'm working my way there. Coming up next. So the viewers haven't been witness yet to what JM has lovingly called a blizzard of notes. So can you give us any insight into what the flurry of note passing has contained?
Well, they're all right here.
Why do you hide your
Oh, here they are.
plans from the GM, or is this something you've done in previous campaigns or just with JM?
I've definitely learned as a GM, if you are not going to pass notes and you're going to say, well, but what if we storm this? Oh no, but then this will happen. I'm going to be like, all right, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, pass notes, man.
Don't give them any ideas.
Yeah,
So
'cause that brain is a sponge.
I know.
JM is like the master of being devious and sending us into terrible situations. And he's like, oh no, you'll be fine.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate here and
Don't
say
do it.
he does not make up the situations. He goes, oh, here's a consequence. Because no, I won't.
Let's also just point out that you gave me the advice to trust the GM, and it ended badly.
No, it didn't.
It did.
No, it didn't.
did.
It was
Okay.
Francesco, and he wasn't going to kill you.
Yeah, but it backfired.
So in other games, I've used notes, but we'll often use phones. So in other games that I've played in with Becca and Lee, we'll be texting each other from across the room. Sometimes because when it's a bigger group or the story is focused on Abby's character, I don't want to be sitting here talking to Becca across the table. That's very distracting, and it's rude to what Abby and Jam are trying to do. Whereas I can sit here and flick notes, and while that's distracting, it's less distracting. It's more learning to ignore a movement on the table rather than me strategizing here and here. It's also, like I said, fun to just throw corkscrews in. So when Calypso and I managed to pass off the temple key and Jam had no idea what was going on, that was awesome. Because I feel like for once we were the ones not blundering through something, we actually had a plan. But really I'm texting them all the time in other games. I'm like, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? Because
Do you think it streamlines the decision-making process and stops analysis paralysis because you can't have everybody putting their thoughts in when A, they're not all in the same room as characters, and B, people like to discuss and second guess and create worst-case scenarios for hours.
I think we played in a game where we just kind of started circling the drain. I mean, it was a long game. There was 5 of us in this group, and it was essentially we have to get here, but what's the best way? Here's 17 options. And because we were able to just sit and talk about it, I mean, we talked about it for 30, 45 minutes. And we can't do that on this show.
no, that's not exciting. Yeah, so it's usually like, what do you think about, like, the last game? Like, the note that got passed almost immediately was like, okay, he took his cloak off. That means something. What do we want to do with that? So it's a way for us to communicate without being distracting, but also, like Lee mentioned, there are questions that we have asked that have led to consequences that if we hadn't asked them, I don't know if those consequences would have been there. So if we don't have to ask those questions out loud, maybe we're dodging some of the bad things.
I also noticed that some of the notes are rather innocuous. Do you pass them just to make Jam a little nervous that you're conspiring?
Those are the ones that we've passed
Those
to
are the ones
him.
we passed to him.
He feels left out.
Okay,
So
that's
this one
fair.
often gets put on my side for me. It says suck it.
I have smiley faces over here.
No, that's from him to me.
Oh, okay.
Not me to him.
Not always.
That he started that one. They're both smiling.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Devil horns aside. All right, so, Abby, we have talked about the death of Kotak. May their fuzzy heart roam the hills of their homeland for eternity.
I have questions, but that's fine. Continue.
We've also
Fuzzy
got to experience your rebirth as a new character. But because of how the storyline has progressed, you had a very limited pool because you were basically in a pocket universe. Is that an accurate description? That had a very limited pool of people. So what have the challenges been in creating a character from that limited pool of choices?
I think the biggest challenge for me is trying to get into a different mindset. Which part of this isn't, I mean, kind of a long story. Alestra started with the original crew on Milan Station, blew her cover as a spy because she ended up just slitting a guy's throat and was caught on camera.
Isn't it 2 guys?
I think it was just one. She killed the other one.
I killed like all of them.
Yeah,
There's
I
like
killed
4,
one.
but
I
that's
killed
fine.
one. I killed one, but it was very blatantly like, which is not the persona you're supposed to give as a healer, apparently. So it was like that was like second session, so immediately had to make a new character, which ended up being Kotak, which was an alien species. She was a wolf creature with 6 limbs, bright orange fur. She was pretty awesome. She scared everybody to death just because she's this ginormous wolf creature, but she was actually very nice. Yeah, I could tell you her whole story, but long story short, it's kind of the mindset for me. With all the other tabletop roleplay games I've played, I kind of get used to shorter campaigns. So it's people either die really fast or your character will progress very quickly. And so this is a much different setup of trying to keep my character alive to keep going. And that mindset of switching from alien race to now a human who is very complicated. That's probably been the biggest challenge for me. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Maddie, you have confided in me. I hope this is okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
That your current character is maybe not so much in the smarts, and that has been slightly challenging. Figuring out how to play someone who is, not a dum-dum, but certainly less intelligent than you would like to play her. Can you tell us how you've handled that?
So what was interesting was I came into this later. So Becca and Abby had walked through character creation with JM and kind of had some ideas of their character fleshed out. Becca and I had even talked about her character. And so I happened to be able to come in one night and JM handed me a pre-gen, and it's this beautiful tank, and I've never played a tank before. And so it's been a lot of gear shifting. So it's a lot of, I as a player, because I've played with JM enough, I've played with Becca enough, can intuit certain things, but then sitting here going, I don't think my character would know that. And I think the perfect example, was Bessarion, and leaning, so Gemma's faith score is very high, like it's double what her wits are. And so in that moment, Maddie saying, this is the smart thing to do, but going, I don't think Gemma would think that way, I think Gemma would think this way. And so kind of having to internally check some of the decisions that I have wanted to make, or character choices I've wanted to make, not that Gemma's a dum-dum, but she's not the deep intellectual that's going to think her way out of something. She's going to act her way out of something. She's going to trust her way out of something. And so I think that's what happened with Bessarion, was Maddie knows how to fix this situation. Gemma doesn't. This is what Gemma's going to do. And then going back to that, being comfortable with the people at the table, I looked up at Becca. Becca knew what I was thinking and gave me the okay, and that's when I ran with it. Whereas if I didn't know the women at this table that well, or I wasn't comfortable, I probably would have stopped to have the conversation, where it really was just split-second decision, got the affirmation I needed, ran with it, consequences. But again, Maddie knew consequences, Gemma didn't. Gemma was trusting in what was before her.
Well, Lee, I am curious how much of Calypso's saucy personality is true to your own personality.
I like that she's described as saucy.
It's accurate.
I think there's a lot of me in Calypso. I hate myself.
No, you don't.
However, I also think that sometimes Calypso is somebody who I wish I was. Calypso, I think, has the highest wits out of the whole group, but she doesn't. Yeah, I think I'm at 8 or 9.
We're both at 8, I think.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the way she approaches things is kind of sometimes how I wish I would, where I just get aggressive and I want to be right, whereas Calypso kind of approaches it and pretends like she's kind of dumb, but really what she's doing is she's getting, I mean, case in point was on, not Ravenna, where were we next with Limbus, where the leader at the time, I don't have my notes in front of me.
Pagana.
I'm sorry?
Pagana.
Oh, yeah.
Electa.
Pagana, the general leader, where she was literally, Calypso was like, I'll blow you all up, but what she was really actually trying to do was forcing Major Pagana to actually create a peace dialogue with the more diplomatic leader of Limbus, and she knew exactly what she was doing, but the way she approached it was very dramatic and kind of dumb, because it could have backfired excellently. And sometimes I wish that I had that kind of like forethought and tact and be like, oh, well, little old me actually doesn't really know that, so would you please, describe that again for me? And I never do that, because I'm like, I need to be right all the time. And so I kind of, sometimes she's who I wish I was, but also at the same time, like, her humor, her fluid sexuality, and the fact that she's just like, here's my zipper. I mean, like, it is who I am. This is but a body, and it does things, and I'm just like, whatever. L'chaim, all right. Let's move on. I'll see you guys never.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
All right, Becca, tell me how you created Jexa. Have you had any challenges playing a younger character, or do you feel that that has enhanced the story? We can clearly see you have directed and bonded many of the characters over taking care of you. Was that your intention?
Not my intention. But once I figured out that that's what they would do, did I manipulate it? No.
Yeah, but have we rubbed off on Jexa? Yes.
I know it started with once upon a time, JM had a PDF, and went, let me read this out loud to you on how to make your character. And just kind of reading through it, I kind of stuck on the merchant. Colleen went to engineer, and then was just, I guess, trying to think how to make her stand out. And I went with she's an engineer prodigy, and so she's young. Playing as her, being young, I don't know that there's been anything too terribly difficult at that. I mean, every now and again I have to think back, okay, when I was 16, I might have figured out the ruffled shirts meant like something, but I wasn't gonna go and like put on a ruffled shirt.
I'm not gonna talk about when I was 16.
Yeah, you're fine. I mean, so every now and again, it's one of those that I have to think. I mean, Becca knows. Jexa is 16. At 16, I would know what. And so, I mean, again, you said Calypso has the highest wits in the party, and yeah, Jexa has 8 wits like Calypso does, but Calypso has the history and the knowledge and the experience to back up all of her wits, and I try to play Jexa as I have the answer, but I don't know how it works.
And I think I didn't know, so I apologize.
No, not at all.
I was wrong.
No, not at all. There's no like, Lee, come on.
Well,
No,
there's a
there's
difference
not.
between having a high IQ and being 30 and having a high IQ and being 16.
Yeah.
It's how you wield it, it's how you use it.
Yeah. Because I think Calypso's also the oldest of the group, I think. I don't know about Nigel and Alexa, but I guess they technically don't count.
Or Gregor.
Well, I'm hoping Gregor's roughly around Calypso's age.
Oopsie poopsie.
Not that
JM,
really
if you were
matters.
watching, please do not have him reveal he is 16 years old.
He's not.
Because I'll punch you in the face. What?
Well, let's talk specifically about Fading Suns for a minute. Aventuria Adventurer, shout out to the chat, has asked how you feel, what's your favorite part of the Fading Suns universe or the game in general?
I think the concept of the Fading Suns universe is very interesting. It harkens back to the medieval times where the church had power. There are classes. There's the noble class, the priest class, the merchant class, and the working man class. So it harkens back to that and the saints that everybody believed in. But you're in space with laser guns, womp guns, and a speeder bike. You have no idea how badly I want to get that womp gun working and just like take off on the speeder bike for a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
Go shoot some things.
Oh, my Lanta.
That's Jex's goal, FYI. But I mean, yeah, it's a very fascinating mixture of things that we in our society today consider almost antique with the beliefs that they hold, and yet it's sci-fi and futuristic. So that's a very interesting playground to be in.
I think hilariously, as you know, I sat there and I was like, rules are meant to be broken. I'm so edgy. I think
You are.
I think my favorite thing actually about this game is the play mechanics with you want to reach a low die, but you also have these chips, these surges, these basically are like weird points, and you're actually able to kind of influence your die. In D&D, you know, you roll a D20 and you're like, oh, I hope it's not a 1, but there's nothing you can really do about it. Of course, there's exceptions to that, but in this game, I feel like you have a little bit more control and be like, I've got this weird point. I've got this really important thing that I need to do right now. And it can be as, you know, mundane as knowledge checks, whatever that thing is called with insight, but it's not observe, maybe?
Perception and observe.
Yeah. And it can be as mundane as that, or it can be as important as, for example, on Ravenna, Calypso had to get husks, which are essentially zombies, off of her ship, and she needed to be doing some really interesting piloting, and I was able to influence that, because had I not been able to influence it, I'm sure, you know, JM being JM.
With love. This is always said with love.
With love. But he is a challenging GM to the point where he could have been like, yeah, you just destroyed the old boy, because now it's dead. Have fun with that. And so I like the mechanics of this game, and that you can kind of manipulate your roles a bit to kind of achieve something that's a little bit more the way you want to bring the story.
Yeah, similarly, being able to utilize banked up momentum, victory points, or VP, whatever you want to call them, you know, for another storytelling flair on Ravenna, meant that Gemma didn't die when she was struck by lightning 4 different times. Minor detail, but, you know, kind of important. Now, there were consequences to that, and we're always having to play with consequences, and as the person at the table who I think has rolled the most natural 20s, those consequences come back to bite us in the butt.
Tender.
You've been catching up, young Padawan.
The reason why I had to dance with Orla too is because I rolled a natural 20.
So there's still the consequences. Like, I can dump 15 VP into a roll and still roll a natural 20. So there's still the ability to fall on your face or have something come back and bite you in the butt later. But there is that chance that you can play with the story a little bit and say your character has been zapped a few different times and has caught on fire a few different times, and apparently, you know, lean into some of those things. Maybe in a different game that would have been the end of your character. So that creative storytelling, or I don't think I've been able to use it on stream yet, but I actually have an ability where I can share some of my VP during a turn to someone. So being able, more of that group dynamic of I can actually help benefit your role if we really need you to pull this off.
Which consequently she did not do for you last.
No, but she gave me weird points.
Oh yeah, I think I did too.
No
Yeah.
VP last time
Yeah.
because I couldn't hit any of my rolls.
I think for me, I would definitely echo what all these other girls have said. But as weird as it sounds, I like how challenging this game is for me. Because I'm definitely the player who would rather be the tank and blow stuff up, but I'm having to think, and it doesn't always go well.
See, and that's the character I like to play, so we just flip-flop.
Yeah. So like it's really fun to play a new system and kind of chew through all the different techniques and ideas of this game because it's so different to me. And yeah, like there's definitely some nights I'm not always super excited to get here, and then I get here and start playing, and it's like, okay, this is actually fun still. It's a challenge, but it's fun.
Still?
Yes. Still.
Still? There
We're
was
always fun.
doubt.
Sometimes.
That hurt.
It goes away when I start playing, but
Oh. I think that
I love you too.
everyone can understand the idea of you know, we all have jobs and we go to work and it's been a long day, and then sadly I make them sit in a hot room under very warm lights no matter how they feel.
These 4 sticky notes are me complaining about how hot I am. I'm just gonna put that out.
So it's understandable that
I'm
sometimes
barking.
even the things you love can feel a little bit like work when you have to do them all the time. But let's talk about character generation. I know it's been a few months for you, but can you tell me what you remember about the experience? Was it entertaining? Did it help you build your backstory as you went, or were some of you just handed a person?
I'm sorry, is that your backstory?
No,
I was about to literally throw myself out the non-existent window.
this is the Fading Suns book. It's been noted and tabbed and...
Well, there were also some changes too. So I was handed a pre-gen, which was awesome, and I actually ended up sticking with that. But then there were some changes that came through, and we had to tweak some stuff, which at the time was a little sad because it dropped all of us down a little bit. But then going through, and for me it was actually nice to be handed a character because then all I had to do was figure out what made her tick. And it was in that first session I played where, as the story unfolded, I'm in an elevator with a young girl, 2 guards draw laser pistols on us and start shooting. And suddenly I had to go, okay, I'm a tank, how do I respond to this? And so having that already created for me allowed me to then come up with a story, rather than sitting kind of stuck or feeling frustrated because character creation does not come as quickly for me to flesh out. So then going back and tweaking a few things, like I've bumped her wits up and her perception, just because even trying to role play that, you've seen me run into walls. So no, I don't want to make her a scholar, but can I tweak it just a little bit to make her easier to play?
I mean, as I said, back when all JM had was a PDF and he's reading from it, there are parts of it that just kind of spoke to me, I guess, or popped up, and pulled the pieces together to create a concept, and then going through the monster. That is the Fading Sense, which should be kickstarting sometime soon. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted. I think somebody recorded me. And like going back and finding all the pieces to make it work felt overwhelming until you're done and you look at your character and you go, oh, actually that wasn't as difficult as I thought it was. Because I think Fading Sense does a great job of saying, come up with your idea and we'll tell you how to make it, instead of saying, here are the 3 ideas. Choose fighter, cleric, wizard. Like,
I'm not gonna lie, well, when I first created Alestra, it was sort of straightforward. Not really any idea behind her. It's like, oh, that sounds cool. Let's throw that into the mix. Let's do this. Let's try this. And it became this whole conglomeration. And then I had to, like, reread through everything about 5 times and actually get the stats right and figure out what my perks and capabilities actually were. So, for me, it was probably a little complicated. Because, for one, listening to all the information when Jim was reading it was a little overwhelming because there's a lot of information. Really amazing job. A lot of information. And then it just takes me a while to read through things and actually have them click in my brain. So that's fun.
Well, I've also personalized mine.
Oh, I have one too. It's just not with me on the table. It's red.
In terms of character creation for Calypso, again, I'm going to circle back to the fact that you don't, just because, you know, I've been playing tabletops for so long does not by any means mean I'm good at them. I am awful at any type of character creation. I never know how. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I think the only time I'm actually good at it is when I'm doing Goliaths in D&D, because they're my favorite class, and I actually have, or race, and I have them memorized. But aside from them, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So I sat down with JM, and he pretty much spoon-fed me. He was like, okay, well, what kind of character do you want? What type of class? Like, here are these ideas. I think this is what you would be good on based upon a character that I play in a just us hanging out crew. And so basically I eventually just kind of went, all right, well, I love David Bowie and I love Han Solo. And he went, I have an idea. And thus a pilot was born. So that's pretty much, I had a lot of assistance in terms of the mechanics behind her, but like her personality
is 100% you.
Unfortunately, 100% this. So,
Not unfortunately.
Fortunately.
It's delightfully.
You guys are so positive.
It's pretty wonderful.
Well, we love you too.
So you guys have showed the huge, book or binder that you have that you've personalized and worked through. Have the rules been easy to grasp for you? Were they?
The basics of VP, rolling a dice, and making that number not yes. Mm-hmm. There's some tricky things. You mentioned the perks and capabilities. There's times where you're looking at that and you're going, how does the fact that, like, I have a guild commission help me. Alright, in theory I get paid for what I do. I haven't been paid.
I believe cake has been shoved under your door. That's like
Not from the guild.
Food and board.
Not from the guild.
Has she run away from the guild?
No.
Technically.
No, she has not run away. Her assignment was on Milan Station. Milan fell out of orbit. She's been on a ship trying to get back to a guild. Happened to walk into this one and finally found one where, hey, people aren't going to try to kill her.
So your dad has no idea she's alive?
No.
Or her dad?
No. Yeah. Yeah, it was great, trying to get a hold of him. Not that I don't know if he has time to think about his daughter since everybody's trying to kill him. Also, Derek is totally still alive.
So
Derek?
much hatred.
He's a guild journeyman. I have no words. I dislike him. We're gonna leave it at that.
So how about the rest of you? Are the rules something that has been easy to kind of ease into, or?
I'm gonna be honest. I only know the rules that are applicable so far, and all the other ones I don't know at all. Because that's literally, unfortunately, how I play tabletop games. Is I'm here for characters, for story. I don't usually know the rules, and other people do, and so I'm that jackass who's like, yeah, you know them, so you'll tell me. Basically, if this was a group assignment, I would have just totally been like, all right, you do it, see ya, all right, I'm gonna go watch Netflix. I'm sorry, that's who I am as a person.
Not a sponsor.
You guys, stop saying trademark names. Gosh.
I'm not gonna. I won't do it. I'll hold it back.
It's tricky because, so, you see us flipping through lots of pages, and a lot of us have had to go through and kind of condense down our perks and our abilities because it's a giant manual of an astounding amount of information. Like, there are so many little things that you can pick within your class, within your desired profession, within that, to distill it down so it's easy to handle. At least I've had to go through and rewrite it. But then there's also fun things of like, okay, so one of my abilities gets me into church libraries, but does it mean they're gonna track me? I don't know. So figuring out the nuances of them has been an adventure.
Do you like that adaptability?
Yeah. I like that, I like that they're just different quirks that we get to play with. So, okay, so maybe I'm not the most literate person in the group, but I can get us in the library. Or, the fun ability that whenever we're in a fight, like the fight mechanic in this is really interesting, and that you choose who goes next. But also having the ability to just crush JM streams sometimes, and ask to go first.
Pass. That was cute.
It's fun because in other scenarios where in other games where you have to roll for initiative, you're sitting there just waiting for your turn and having to change what you're going to do 16 times because people didn't act the way you thought they were. Whereas in this, you have a little more say in that. Also, in your party fund, you have to cross off those 2 vials of joy evening.
Oh, I do. I still have a smoke stick
You do.
and green powder. Don't know what it's good for.
Oh gosh.
But you guys don't know I have a smoke stick.
Well, your pockets have been rifled.
Yes, my joy evening vials have been used.
Successfully.
Yeah, it definitely was an outcome. And if you haven't seen that episode, you can catch those on YouTube, where you're welcome. Our boss has put them up for your viewing pleasure so that you can catch up on the adventures of the crew of the Oh Boi. So you ladies have laughed, giggled, and inside joked your way through the beginnings of Fading Suns.
No, you're not.
Tell me how you feel about this game. we talked in the beginning about your experience and all the different kinds of systems you've played. How do you like this one?
Do we like it?
I like it a lot.
Again, it's different from your 13th Age Pathfinder. D&D is going to be that high fantasy, high magic. This is definitely sci-fi. Medieval. I don't know, I guess I've been told there is magic in the Fading Suns world. Jaxa has yet to find it. I have a feeling the demon in my brain can help me out with that. But,
Hey.
Wait, I shouldn't shake my head. Not influencing the story.
who wants occult powers? Anyway.
Oh god.
Everybody run.
I mean, so it's different. Like it's got that different sci-fi feel to it, I think.
I think it also just circles back to, again, somehow we have fallen into a rhythm where we are very comfortable with each other so that we can laugh and have fun, but we still get stuff done. Now that stuff is sending a space station to its death.
We don't talk about that.
frying a wolf.
We do talk about that.
A wolf that bit a zombie.
She went wolf.
And she bit
Bit
the
a
zombie.
There's
I
that.
have no regrets.
Shambler, what are their actual names? Just,
Husks.
Husks. TM.
But yeah, so we've been able to figure out a way to have fun with one another, but we're also still getting stuff done, which is a different feel from other tables I think we've all played at, where that fun aspect isn't there. You're not giggling as much. You're not sidetracking on ruffled shirts. But I think the ruffled shirts have also added a layer to the story of human interest, maybe? I don't know. But it's just a different feel than a lot of other tables I've sat at, and it's more comfortable in some ways because we do have that level of silliness.
Do you think the system lends itself to that, or would another group take it way more seriously?
Yeah, definitely people.
How do you think that would change the vibe of the game?
I have no idea. Depends on the people.
I mean, so on your, just in your character, just to begin with, you start with your class, your faction, and then your calling. And so if you're actually going to, follow your calling and become who you were meant to be with your blessings and your curses and everything, yeah, I don't think it'd be quite so silly. Much more focused on saving those fading suns.
I think another point that lends itself to our silliness is that originally we were going to start the game, when it was just Becca and I, we were going to start the game handcuffed together in a jail cell. And we had to figure out why we got there and how to get out. And it was just that humorous side of Becca immediately was like, yeah, I'm not going to like you. I was like, okay. We'll still have to get out of here. And
I can remove my arm. I don't see what the problem is.
That too. So it lends itself to. I think the way JM has helped set it up has helped lead into a lighter side of a game.
Mm-hmm.
I also think you turn to comedy when facing really dark things, and we've been talking about this for several weeks. Of can we just land on a planet that's not on fire for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes?
Because it was Milan Station that was run fairly dictatorship style. That went careening into Dwarf Star. Then it was Ravenna, which was,
Zombies.
The Husk invasion, which was tied to a demon attempting to break free from the dark spaces of the sky.
Also rituals to bring the demon forth.
Limbus, where there was the creatures of the unknown who were inhabiting people's bodies and trying to eat us. And then Bessarion. And now we're on Lemminkainen, where the Inquisitor is after us, and oh, there's something going on over in Hadrian's walls,
Wait.
and we're pretty sure people are dying again.
Yeah.
So humor.
All right. Well, let's wrap things up by I'm just going to say that I'm going to say adios and leave the ladies of the Oh Boi, whom I know you love and appreciate and enjoy, to close us out by telling us what is coming up next in your lives or what other projects you're working on. And we're going to start with Becca.
Do I not get to ask my question?
Did you have a question?
I did. I asked you in the chat if I can ask a question.
People keep mispronouncing the name of the planet that you're on, and that's where my eye immediately went. You can, of course, ask your question.
Oh, I was gonna pose to you guys, since I feel like we've taken a few shots at someone who is not here and under due process, you know. What is your favorite thing about JM being your GM? That's my question.
And then there's awkward silence.
I'll go first. I'll go first. My favorite thing about JM being my GM is the first thing he always asks after every session is, did you have fun? And I think that is an amazing characteristic in a GM, because it's not just, well, this is my story, they have to like it. Like, he's very much like, if you don't like something, I want you to be open enough to tell me, because I want to be able to fix it to make it enjoyable. And the fact that he is so attuned to other people and making sure that everybody is having a good time, and it's not just, not just him and getting to see, oh, I've created this story, I've done all this work, but it's more of it becomes like a team. And that's, I think, what makes him an incredible GM. Next.
I think for me, it's that JM pushes me to stretch myself in how I play characters. Like, my natural tendency is to play a tank who can get things done and isn't necessarily easily killed and doesn't have to think much. It's great, because you can just go do things. And it's very not my tendency to have to think through things and try to think through situations, and obviously I'm not great at it yet, but that he would encourage me to branch out and try something new and encourage that growth, even though I stumble and end up killing many characters in the process. I really appreciate that, because it pushes me to learn and grow, and not even just here at the table, it's things that I can take into life.
There's so much waggling to the brows.
Maddie, why don't you go next as I leave you? And then as Becca waxes poetic about JM the GM, she will then transition into upcoming projects.
JM. Where to start with JM?
Something I really appreciated about sitting at a table with JM is that he is very attuned to what interests you in the story. So when we were in Milan, threw out a bunch of different options for us to pursue, and for some reason we glommed on to Beatrice, and he has let us run with that. Whereas other GMs that I have played with have an end goal in mind, and that's where you're going to go regardless of what you want or don't want. And so the fact that he is flexible enough to say, hey, my players really seem interested in this, let's lean into this, let's build a story around this, and if our interest ever wavers on that, I would like to think he would say, okay, how do we transition into something else? So he lets his players have as much say in the story as he does on certain levels. Obviously, there's still rules, and he is still corralling us, but I also appreciate that he lets us be silly and have that lighter side of the game. It's not just we have to get stuff done, this is where you have to go, this is when you have to do it. So that's been a gift for sure.
No, I'm just I don't even know where to start. JM has become a great friend, I think, for all of us, which I think is one of those things that if you're lucky, your GM is one of your really good friends.
Sorry, medicine.
You're okay. And I think what I appreciate the most about him as a GM is this is probably gonna sound really funny, but just his brain. He's incredibly intelligent, and we can throw as many glitches into his system as we can attempt.
Still doesn't work.
I mean, well, if it does work, I mean, but he rolls with it and he incorporates it into a story. And I mean, we've literally blown up the big bad guy, and he goes, "Sweet, didn't know that was an option. It's gonna we're gonna roll with this from now on." And just like his ability to improvise and his intelligence to follow our threads and where we are going and what we are interested in, and how to push us and grow us. Calculating it out, what was it, 18 months ago, I got invited to join one of the games at his store, or at the store, and now I game a lot more often. And it has been such a joy the entire time. So there, I hope that was waxing poetically enough.
Thank you guys for answering my question.
Yeah.
You're welcome. So, I mean, I know I have stuff coming up. Does anybody else?
You're fun.
I'm curious what this means.
Oh, okay, so you are watching this on Iconic Production Twitch channel or the YouTube channel. Iconic Productions also puts out podcasts where I use we because it's Jam, myself, and two other people, Nick and Mark, talk about 13th Age. And we enjoy the podcast, we enjoy this show, and we're looking to expand Iconic Productions. We put out articles every month, and I will be starting a podcast called Dames and Dice,
Nice.
where I'll get together with a bunch of female friends. What's up? You guys are all guests on the list. Y'all, you're slotted in, don't worry. And just talk about role-playing, not specific games or anything, but kind of just role-playing, what we enjoy about it, and even what we've found have been the joys of it and have been the frustrations of it. Plan to talk to a whole bunch of people, including, it's going to sound really funny, my mother, who, when she was dating my father, they played D&D. It's adorable.
Oh.
We're going to talk about, we're going to talk about how the game has changed and even how it's changed in however long you've played. Because there's always something new and different coming up. So yeah, that's Iconic Productions, and since I'm a member of that, I get to promote it. I enjoy it, but anything else? Yeah. Thank you so much for watching this ridiculous Q&A. I hope we made some sort of sense.
I'm gonna do
And
something really quick.
we look forward to see. Oh, she's gonna do it. We look forward to seeing you in the upcoming weeks as we continue to stream live the adventures.
Jam's gonna be so mad at me.
of the Oh Boy.
I'm done.
Goodbye, Calypso.
And rip.